And I just realized at the moment while he was dying, I was like, I don't want to live like this. Yeah. I never want to live like how you live, but I appreciate for what you did for us. And I want to live every single day following my dreams and doing what I want and having a purpose instead of working all my life and like not being able to spend time with my family. And so once he passed away, I kind of realized, I was like, life is so short. Yeah. And we shouldn't live life for other people, and we shouldn't live life working a 9 to 5 every single day and giving lives to others when we should be doing that for ourselves. And so that's kind of when I turned to food. I was like, food makes me happy. At least that shit makes me happy.
Yo, what up? It's your boy Rubino.
And this DJ in the building.
And you listening to the UpNUp Podcast.
Yeah.
Wait, what are we doing?
I don't know, just listen.
Yes. Welcome.
What it do?
Ladies and gentlemen, you're tuning to the UpNUp Podcast on the UpNUp Network. I'm your host, Rubino.
And I'm DJ man.
What's up, boss? How you doing?
Good, man.
Yeah?
Feeling good, feeling great.
Feeling good, feeling great. How about you? How about me?
How about you?
You know me, bro. I'm always feeling blessed, grateful, right? Grateful for the moment, always. I'm going to start the episode like that every time, right? Thankful for everybody in the room. Shout out to the team, squad.
Yes, sir.
My brother who just pulled up last minute. Shout out to you. But yeah, if this is your first time tuning in, as I stated, this is the UpNUp Podcast. This is the podcast where we're focused on cultivating culture, right?
Yep.
We do that by providing amazing stories of individuals, groups, movements, the hustlers, the shakers, right? People who are breaking down barriers, taking up space, not only for all of us here, but for who?
The listeners and the future generation.
Come on, man.
Everybody.
Come on, man. Say it with your chest.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
I thought you was going to keep on rolling. That's why I was like, okay.
But yeah, no, like I said, it's for all of us here. Obviously, they're carving and taking up space in all these industries and professions, but it's for the next generation, right? Putting it down so they could pick it up, right? And if this is your first time tuning in, welcome to the family. And for the consistent family members, listeners, viewers, those who've been rocking, salute to you guys. We love you guys. We thank you guys as always, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm feeling good, man, because, I feel like this episode in particular is right on time, long time coming. People say it's overdue, but I say things are on time, right? And I'm super excited because, today's guest is someone who I would say who's truly found a way to walk in her purpose, right? And someone who I feel has taken the term influencer and really converted it to impact. You know what I mean? She's definitely a true culture cultivator who's keeping everything she's doing on the up and up, right? Just a little bit of insight, I would say, and I think a lot of people would say she's definitely a force and a powerhouse when it comes to storytelling, really focusing on the areas of food and community, and truly giving a spotlight to many amazing, unsung and underrepresented restaurant owners, businesses, and not just their restaurants and their businesses, but their stories, right? The people behind these amazing businesses and restaurants. And she's doing it in her own unique way. I would say she's definitely someone who's put her own twist on what the term journalism means in today's day and age, right?
Yeah.
Doing it in a way that's natural to her, right? And she's ultimately using her platform with intention. And some would say she's the ultimate plug, right?
Yeah.
Right? For foodies all over Washington and beyond. We're super honored. We're super excited to have her in the building today. So without further ado, let's just get straight to it. Our guest is none other than the amazing force herself, Teena Thach. Can we get a round of applause?
You're so nice.
How you doing?
I love people who do research.
Oh yeah. That's all we do here. How you doing though? You good?
I'm good. I'm super honored. I feel like this is a long time coming, and especially for those that, create a voice for the community. It's cool. I feel like podcasts is like such a thing right now, but being able to be a guest, I think I'm very, very grateful.
Well, we're grateful to have you here.
Yeah,
you
sure.
know. So I don't know how familiar you are with the show, but we start every episode with a quote of the day, right? Something to get the vibe right, mood right, conversation right.
Yeah.
Brother man he's the man of the quotes over here.
Yeah.
So I'm excited. What you got for us today, man?
All right, man. So I heard this quote yesterday, but the quote is kind of short, sweet, but it's one day or day one, you decide. Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Short, simple, straight to the point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just heard it. I thought it was filthy because, just had a point in my life where I'm like, should I do that? Should I do that? But it's like, nah.
It's perspective.
Yep.
Yeah. Who's that quote by?
It's an anonymous quote.
Oh,
Yeah.
those are the best ones.
Yeah.
He's like, I saw it on Twitter.
Yeah. I heard it. Tried it. I was like, damn, I really can't find who said this, but yeah.
One day or day one.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
I think it's short, but it can mean so much in different perspectives.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
for sure. Definitely. I like that. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. You never miss.
He's the quote man?
He's the quote man.
He's the quote man.
So long story short, they don't let me tell quotes up here. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. Cool. So Teena, obviously, you're familiar. Our show is really about the journeys that people have been on and kind of letting them tell their stories in their own unique way. But before we kind of get into your journey, I'm just curious. It's 2023. This year seems like it ain't got no breaks. You know what I'm saying? It's moving. But for you, like, how would you describe this current chapter that you're in right now, like in the present moment?
Yeah, I would say 2023 is about change and trying new things. I think a lot of people know me for the food stuff, and that's been about 3 years of just doing that. But I've been doing social media since I was a kid. Like, I was on MySpace. I was like really big on MySpace. I used to sing covers on YouTube. Like, if you went on my YouTube, which I'm restarting right now, you would see my singing videos since I was like 12. And so I've always been in social media, and I always told myself, I was like, ever since I was a little kid, I was like, I'm meant to be a star. Like, I could feel it. Whatever it takes, like, I just need to hold the microphone and be on camera. Like, I always knew that about myself. But the whole food thing has led me, I wanted to do it in a place where I was trying to be kind and do something where I use social media for good and to make positive change. But for 2023, I think the Washington Foodies thing, like, as much as I love it, I think I hit my peak and plateaued. Like, for me, I want to do more than just here.
Yeah.
I want to do storytelling in different aspects for different communities and people that need their stories told. And I feel like the Washington Foodies things was great and the niche was good for right here, but I feel like I want to do more. There's so many other stories to tell, not just food. There's like small businesses or people or your aunt or your mom in the kitchen, whatever. I feel like there's just so much more. And for 3 years, I did the short form. I think TikTok and Reels and all that stuff blew up. And it was kind of like everyone's attention was so short. And I think at the time, it's the thing to do.
Yeah.
But when it comes to, like you said, storytelling and journalism, it really breaks my heart when I do amazing interviews and then I got to cut it in a minute.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that anymore.
Yeah,
I want to go on YouTube and do the long storytelling, but I want to ask the questions and have their voice be telling the story, not my voiceover, you know?
I got you.
And I want to have my own TV show. I imagine myself just like an Asian version of Anthony Bourdain or something where I'm storytelling and not even that, just uplifting people's cultures and their stories and who they are and highlighting the food from their culture. So that's kind of where I'm at. Like, I'm just like, the time is now. Like, I want to shoot 5 episodes and I'm going to pitch it and see where it goes. And I finally have invested in a team. I edit all my videos. I film everything myself. And I would find myself going to work, and then my 9 to 5. I go home, I eat, I work out, and then I'm editing from 8 p.m. to 2 a.m. I go to bed and I go back to work. And I've done that for 3 years, and I'm just like, I'm so tired. And I finally want to be like, you know what? I'm going to pay for an editor, and I'm going to have a videographer because, it might cost money, but I know the outcome that it will take if I to do this right now. Yeah,
no, definitely. It sounds like a powerful point where it's like a transition period, you know, like a graduation period. You know what I mean? And I think that's the dopest place to be sometimes. You know what I mean? I love that.
That's dope. So I know we're talking about where you're at right now, but let's take it back. Let's talk about your upbringing, where you're from. What was it like for you growing up?
Yeah, so I grew up in Tacoma, the south end of Tacoma. My mom is Vietnamese. She immigrated from Vietnam after the Vietnam War. And so I'm very, very grateful and privileged to be here in America because she literally told me she was holding my brother during the Vietnam War and jumping over dead bodies and hiding from bombs. And it was a time where, you know, they were just trying to survive. And so when they immigrated to America in Washington, that's when she met my dad. My dad is Cambodian. He grew up in Cambodia, the border of Cambodia and Vietnam. They call it Khmer Krom, which is, they speak Vietnamese, but they're Cambodian. But my dad was a fisherman in Alaska. And so when my mom immigrated here, she had to learn English in the Philippines and then come to America and live with a Mormon family to kind of get the American life with my brother. So my brother and I have different fathers, but my mom had me. Well, my mom met my dad on the fisherman boat, and then they fell in love, but then they had me when she was 40. So I was like, I'm definitely an accident, but whatever. And so, and so, you know, growing up, my dad was always in and out of my life just because he was a fisherman and like trying to make money.
Yeah.
And my mom, after she got pregnant, she went back to Washington, and my brother came with her. And pretty much my brother raised me. And so right now my brother is 51, I'm 31, and he pretty much raised me. And I remember being a little kid like, why are you so mean? But he was just, he had to take care of me. He had to take care of the house. He was the one who helped, you know, put me to school and take care of me. And then my mom was there too, but he was the man of the house while my dad was in Alaska coming home every few months. And so I used to be like wondering why, you know, I don't miss him. Like I remember getting a phone call in Alaska and being like so like dreadful that I'd be having to talk to him just because he wasn't around. But then I grew up realizing that, you know, immigrant parents only know money as survival. Like whatever it takes, love is love, but money equals love too, because that's how they make, you know, money to pay the bills and food on the table. And at the time I was just like, I don't get it. I don't feel anything. But as I grew up, I realized that's all they know is survival as an immigrant. And so I grew up, was born in Tacoma, South End, low income, middle class. I was really blessed to have a diverse community. I grew up with hella brown kids, Mexican, Samoan, Black people, everything you could think of. And the things that I saw, I don't think a lot of people, I mean, I think a lot of people went through this, but I was just like, I never thought that I was able to get higher education or go to college. I didn't have those, you know, I didn't have the parents that I can go home and be like, can you help me with my homework? Like, I wish I could have that. Like, I would always envy kids that could go home to their parents and do math or a science project. I would just have to figure it out myself. And so when I was young, you know, having an older brother that's so old and a mom that's so old, you would think that I was very introverted, but I think it helped me be very social just because I didn't have that at home. And so I was a kid that would just talk to strangers and ask hella questions, always curious. And I think that was like kind of how I am now. And so I'm just curious, you know, I'm asking you a question, not because I have to, because I'm genuinely asking about your story. I've always been like that. And so, you know, I'm the one who would have a big imagination. I'd hold my like brush and I'd sing karaoke by myself and watch MTV Spring Break and TRL all day and like just imagine myself on TV since I was little. But my parents never nurtured any of my talents. I think they just kind of like just finished school. Like
I'm curious because I feel like a lot of first generation immigrants can relate to kind of understanding like how things are supposed to be and then how you imagine things can be, you know what I mean? But for you, like, what was that like? What was your kind of, I guess, first generation immigrant experience, like balancing your culture, your heritage, but then also having to navigate America and like, you know, the American culture? Like, can you reflect on that?
Unfortunately, I feel like a lot of us who are sheltered rebel. And I, you know, like I hope I don't have a daughter like me, because I feel like because I couldn't do anything, I would sneak out and go experience these things I wasn't supposed to just because I couldn't. And I think unfortunately, you know, because I was so sheltered, I was like, I want to go hang out with these bad kids and go do this and that. But I think I always went back to reflect on, you know, being able to appreciate how much opportunities and privilege that I had because I was an American citizen. And I remember as a kid, I didn't really get it at first, being able to, you know, have my mom make me lunch and then go to school and then everyone's making fun of me and I would just throw that shit away. And it's just like, now I'm like, please, mom, like I beg you to cook for me. And I appreciate like so much different cultural foods, but being able to kind of go home and like explain to your mom, like, hey, like I want to do something creative. There's no fucking way back then. No fucking way back then.
Nah,
she was like doctor, pharmacist, or anything medical. And I used to say yes, but now it took a lot of years. Like even recently, now she's like, look at my daughter on Facebook. Like she's so cool. Like look at her videos. But it took forever. They never got it until I had to prove to myself before I could prove to them.
I do feel like being like first generation, like you're going to be the first to navigate certain spaces, try different things, whether it's going to college, whether, you know, it's trying to go into different career paths that may not be the most conventional or whatever. But I feel like there is a sense of like education that comes with that, where the rebelling kind of turns into like, okay, let me just explain to you because maybe you don't know. Like, I feel like a lot of immigrant parents want to support, they just can't comprehend like how, why, you know. And I think it is on us as creatives and those of our generation who are trying to build these lanes to kind of double back and like really break it down and provide context, because I feel like that could help too, you know?
Yeah, and I was really lucky because when I was in high school, I had teachers that really saw a lot in me, and I knew that I wanted to get out of Tacoma. And so I went to like College Bound and, you know, those little after school programs.
Yep.
And I remember my teachers being like, oh, have you ever been to a college campus before? And I was like, no. And so they took me and I stepped on UW and I stepped at Wazoo, and I was like, is this what it feels like to be in college? And that was the first time I could see myself in college. And they was just like, we'll pay for your application. And if they didn't pay for that, I wouldn't have applied. Like, I was glad that I had role models to be like, you know, we believe in you, because my parents was just like, just go to community college. And I would have accepted that, but I knew inside I wanted more. And till this day, I still talk to my high school college teachers. And because I was such this curious cat, I was talking to everyone that they were just like, no, we believe in you. We'll pay for your application. And once I got in, I went to Western in Bellingham, which is a definitely culture shock. I was shook by the core being like the only brown student. Like, but it was like far enough away from home that I was like, I learned a lot about being appreciative of diversity, being a first generation to graduate from college, and just finding a community, even in a place where I definitely had culture shock.
Yeah. So, well, going into college, like a lot of us that went, some of us, it took us a little bit of time to actually figure out what we wanted to do. So what was that like for you? Like, did you go through certain things that kind of led you to what you studied, or was it just like instant?
Yeah, so during a time, so I was doing social media on my own in high school for so long, singing and doing all this stuff. So I always knew, for some reason, because like being a millennial, we were when the internet just started. So I was like, this is crazy. You can connect with so many people that you don't know online. So in the back of my head, I'm like, can this be something for my job one day? But back then, social media marketing was like what? Like no businesses were doing that. And so when I went to college, I was like, oh, maybe I should just do communication or marketing. I wasn't really sure, but I think being able to try different classes, I was like, okay, this is what I like, this is what I don't like. But then I realized I was like, I like telling people's story, and I like, you know, I was dreaming like maybe I could write for Vogue. Like for so long, I thought I was going to be a news anchor or write for a newspaper or something like that. So my first journalism class, I was like designing some magazine and then interviewing people and then writing a story. I was like, I kind of like this. So it takes a while, but I think being able to kind of understand that it's okay to not know sometimes and take classes, and then you realize what you do or don't like. That's kind of when you're like, okay, maybe I should put my effort into this. And so I did journalism, and then I did a minor in public relations, because 2 and 2 go along together with telling people's story, but also being able to public speak and, tell people's story in that way too.
That's real. Yeah. That's right. I actually, so speaking of research, I did read that there was a particular story you told while you were in college about a janitor. Am I right?
Oh my God, what the hell?
Yeah.
What the heck?
Yeah. And
are you stalking me?
No, I'm not.
I love that. No one has ever brought that up. That was my first time. I was like,
yeah. I'm just doing my job. You know
I was like, I can tell this story, and I got like such a good grade on it.
So talk about that, because I want to bring that up, because like I feel like a lot of youth and people who are about to go into college don't realize like sometimes trying your hand at stuff can like plant those seeds for what you're doing now. You know what I mean? But talk about that
I'm just
moment.
shook that you know that. Like that's like
you know.
That's so awesome. No one really knows I wrote that story unless you went to school with me. And so I remember we had an assignment about storytelling, and people were doing different things, but they were telling stories that were typical, like sports or, you know, celebrities. And I was just like, let's talk about the people who aren't seen. And I remember, we would study and do homework all night to the mornings, and I would be in the ethnic student center working. And there was this janitor that would come down and clean. It was like midnight, and I'm just like, hi, like, you know, because I was like, who's this, you know? But he was like always so kind, always so nice, so chill. And I'm always curious. I was like, has anyone ever heard your story? And so I decided, you know, for all the past times I would be studying and see him, I would ask him questions and get to know him, and made friends with him, that I decided I wanted to interview him, because, you know, we make a lot of mess every single day in our lives, but we don't realize who's cleaning up the mess that we make, you know, at events, at parties, at restaurants. We don't think about the, you know, service workers that are taking their time to do this job, and for you to have the next day be clean, and for you to start your day again. And so that's why I decided to tell his story.
Yeah. That's real. But I think that just speaks to kind of the intention you put behind it. You know what I mean? Because a lot of times, like even me and our first time ever doing radio was in college, right? But it was like, it went from like, oh, we have access to a radio studio to like, oh, let's actually have some intention with what we're doing. Let's figure out why we're trying to do it, you know? So that's a good message. That's dope.
Yeah, definitely. So, what was the transition like out of college for you and then going into like the real world?
I was like, damn, I'm in debt. I was like, damn, I gotta find a real job now.
Shit getting real now.
Yeah, I was like, first of all, because you know, when you go to college, you're like, oh my gosh, I get to live on my own. I gotta clean and do my own laundry, and life is great because I don't have any parents. And then you graduate, and you're like, damn, I gotta move back home. And you're like, fuck, I gotta go live with my mom again. And so when I went back to Tacoma, I think my family was just kind of not nagging, but kind of like in my head, like, oh, you about to waste all this money for college. What are you about to do? You about to use this degree? And I'm just in my head like, can you chill? Because I think it's so crazy because when you're out of college and you go into an entry job, it's like, you need 5 years experience. But it's like, how? I just got out of college.
Yeah.
Like, this is an entry job. And I knew, I was like, that's the transition of when I cut my creativity. You know, I was singing and performing and doing all these YouTube videos that I was like, damn, I really got to focus on the real world because where is this creativity going to take me? And I think that kind of breaks my heart that I stopped that because I love singing and making music. And that was something that I really, really love doing. But I cut that out and cut my YouTube and kind of pause on that stuff because I was like, I need to focus on the real world and get a 9 to 5.
Yeah.
And so I would apply every single day, like 10 applications a day. And I would get rejected so many times until I finally started at a startup, doing social media, but it was a tech startup for lead gen and demand gen. And it was the craziest company. This company would create a product that would send automated DMs on Twitter and for you to click a link to go to their business. It was so like not me, but I was like, I need like the experience. So I just kind of took it. And this is something where I was so stupid. I realized as a kid, the CEO was like, oh yeah, how much do you want to get paid for? I was like, oh, anything works.
Yeah.
And so that's how I got the job. But I was like, whatever.
Yeah.
And I definitely got paid the lowest, like the lowest when I first got that job.
Yeah.
Damn, that's crazy. I think that's important though because like, I mean, a lot of people, I feel like they come out of college and then they get hit with like, yeah, I gotta like really start like supporting myself, you know? So it's kind of like they kind of brush things off to the side. So yeah.
So I'm also curious. Obviously, that wasn't where you ended up because you did. You took like you worked and you built skill sets and like you developed, and then eventually you landed working with Starbucks, right? And I feel like all of this is gonna obviously come into what you're currently doing now. But can you just talk about the importance of, regardless of where you're at, figure out how you can build, develop, and utilize it for whatever is coming next? Like, can you talk about
for sure
what you did?
I think at the end of the day, I had to be serious. And though I cut that creativity part of my life for my personal use, I used it in a sense where I learned how to use social media for business. And so I took 2 years in the startup, but it was like understanding the aspects of what is it like to have leadership, people that you have to get approval for, or working with different people like salesmen and engineers. But being able to do social media to help a business is so different than a personal use. And so having that perspective really shaped me and being like, okay, this is what you do when you work in the corporate world, and this is what you use when you do personal growth on social media. And so I remember after 2 years working for this job, I never like advise people do this, but sometimes you wake up and you're like, I don't want to fucking do this anymore. Like I'm miserable. And so I only saved $1,000 and I was like, I'm going to quit today because this is not it. And I just felt like in my soul, I was like dying inside. And this company was so black and white and I felt so much more colorful. And I remember quitting and they were just like, we understand, we can see you're miserable. And so I was like, what am I going to do? And I think when you're struggling, you're like, you will do anything. And so the hustle came in and I was like, I need to find a job that aligns with what I'm doing. And so I went into applying everywhere and I got a contract job at Starbucks doing social media. And I think when you work in corporate, sometimes you need to go the contract way and then get full time. But I hustled. I was like, yeah, I'm a contractor, but I'm going to do whatever it takes to get full time. And I will make you like not ever want to let me go. And so after a year, I got full time and I was like the person, I was like at Starbucks on Twitter, and I would reply to everyone, and I would get more replies than everyone in the freaking group. And I was like, yeah, like I got 100 replies today and you only got 20. And I was like, you're going to have to make me full time. But I wanted it so bad because, you know, I think for big companies and doing social media, you are the brand voice. And that was something that took me having a perspective on, it's not about you, it's about you representing a bunch of people.
Yep.
And it wasn't just I'm Teena, it's like I'm, you know, this big brand, and like what is the strategy on how we can thrive as a business. And like I've been working here for 6 years. I was laid off, went to Microsoft for a little bit, then came back, but I think I put my heart and soul into this company until I got laid off. And then I realized, I was like, why am I putting all my heart and soul into a corporate company when I could just be replaced so easily? And that gave me perspective. I was like, I need to find something for me. I need to find a hobby. And I remember going back into the corporate world again and realizing that I didn't have a hobby. I was just working because I thought that was my whole life. And then I realized when you give these jobs your whole life, once it's cut, who are you? You kind of lose yourself. I'm like, who am I?
Like identity.
Yeah, identity, because you make this work your whole life that you're just kind of like, what do I want to do? And so that was a perspective when I kind of stepped back. I was like, I need to find something for myself. And that's kind of when things led to another. And I was like, I think that's when like 2020 happened. And that's when all this like food stuff started happening.
So how did that come about?
Yeah, it's kind of like a tragedy, but then it comes into like a beautiful flower.
Yeah, it's very inspiring, I would assume.
Yeah, so basically in 2020, I feel like everyone was going through the pandemic and going through a lot. There was people dying, stores closing, and my father was really sick. And so, like I said, he was in and out of my life for a long time, but he smoked cigarettes for 60 years, and he got LOPD, is that what it's called? Like the lung cancer, but lung disease. And so he had to retire. He didn't want to, but he came home and he would always have to breathe out of like this inhaler sometimes. His health wasn't good. And, you know, our family aspect was, it was okay. And I think with older immigrant parents, they'll never divorce even if they're unhappy, just because they've been together for so long that it was just kind of like, okay, maybe this is just it. And there was love there, but you know, my parents were miserable together, but they just stayed together. My brother would take care of the house and would not get along with my dad. It was just chaotic. But in 2020, out of nowhere, he got meningitis B that went straight to his brain in like a week. And while everyone is going through COVID, I mean, we're all sitting at home alone. And like, we're not seeing each other. And so when he got meningitis B, he went straight to the hospital. But at the time, the CDC wouldn't let anyone go visit. Just in general, we can't go there. Like, we can't go in the hospital. There were so many regulations. And I remember him just going into a coma, and I literally didn't know what he looked like or what was happening. And I just knew that he was just in a coma. And I would call every day, and like, he couldn't pick up. And then one day out of nowhere, he woke out of his coma, called me, and he was just like saying a bunch of stuff and like acting like everything's normal. And then all of a sudden he like forgot everything. And I was just like, it was like a roller coaster. And you know, day in day, I was like, is he gonna die? Oh, he sounds great. Is he gonna die? It was like tugging on my heart every single day while I'm working, while I'm trying to figure things out, while everyone's so sad about life and we can't get out. I'm on TikTok all day. I'm just so depressed. And then all of a sudden, we get a phone call like, oh, you can go, you know, CDC just changed rules. You can go visit your dad. And we're like, okay, cool. Like, so excited. And then we drive down to Tacoma because he was at St. Joseph Hospital. And I remember pulling up to the hospital, and all of a sudden the nurse calls and was like, CDC just said, actually, you can't visit. And we're sitting outside the hospital. It's like me, my mom, my brother, sister-in-law, and my fiance. And I'm like, what do you mean we can't go up? And they're just like, you can, like, you just can't, like, I'm sorry. And I'm like, can you FaceTime us? And it was like, they're like, okay, like, I was like begging the nurse, like, please. And so this is like a week. I haven't seen what he looked like. She FaceTimes us, and I remember just seeing him all wired up. And I'm like screaming, like, wake up, Dad. Like, do you hear me? Do you hear me? It was so traumatic, like literally outside the hospital. And then, sorry. And then it was crazy because it was like, I just knew like he was holding on for a little bit longer just to see us because we have not seen him at all. And then once we got off the phone in front of the hospital, we just waited, and then the nurse called and was like, we're going to take him to the hospice home. And for those who don't know what hospice is, it's like a space, a home that, you know, you could say goodbye. It's like pretty much like the last moments. And so when he went there, it was like only 2 people could visit at a time. We had to be masked up and have gloves on. It was like all these things. And I remember seeing him, and he just opened his eyes, and I just had to sit here and be like, I forgive you for everything. Like, I forgive you for not being there. I forgive you because I think with our family and a lot of immigrant families, they just work all the time. We had no family vacations. We spent no time.
Yeah.
And I just realized at the moment while he was dying, I was like, I don't want to live like this.
Yeah.
I never want to live like how you live, but I appreciate for what you did for us. And I want to live every single day following my dreams and doing what I want and having a purpose instead of working all my life and like not being able to spend time with my family. And so once he passed away, I kind of realized, I was like, life is so short. Yeah. And we shouldn't live life for other people, and we shouldn't live life working a 9 to 5 every single day and giving lives to others when we should be doing that for ourselves. And so that's kind of where I turned to food. I was like, food makes me happy. At least that shit makes me happy. We were on TikTok all the time because we're at home. There wasn't much to do. And I remember that was like the only place that I felt happy, because there was like protests going on and people dying, that it was so negative that I was like, you know what? Maybe I should just make a video. And so at the time, I didn't really understand TikTok and doing social media for so long. I was like, okay, I understand Instagram, Facebook, but how are these little short videos that are so weird going viral? I don't get it.
Yeah.
And I would do all these like dancing funny skits, and I was like, I'm not going viral. Like, I don't get it. And I remember one day I was like, oh, I just want to go to this restaurant just because I was having a bad day. And I remember messaging the owner. I was like, hey, like, are you guys open? I've never been here. And he was like, yeah, if you come by, if you make a TikTok, like, I'll give you free boba. And I was like, hell yeah, I want free boba. Yeah. And so I just went there, and I was like, what would I want to see in a video? And at the time, there wasn't any storytelling yet. I was just kind of focusing on the food that I enjoyed and putting the prices, because a lot of people don't put the prices. I want to know how much it is. And it wasn't when it went viral that I was like, oh my God, this is working. It was when the owner called me, and he's like, I've been struggling to get anybody to come in, and like everyone's coming in, showing me your video and buying exactly what you ordered. Thank you so much. Like, you pretty much is helping my business and save my business. And I had the moment, I was like, is this my purpose in life? Like, is this what I should be doing? This is how I'm going to help people. Yeah. And then one by one, I was just like going to the restaurants that I want to go to. And then I realized the food tastes so much better when you know the story behind the food. And so I started sitting down and making time to do the interviews, taking notes on my phone, recording everything, putting it together, doing the voiceovers. And then one by one, it was like these owners were like, oh my God, like there's a line, you're helping my business. And I was like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. This is what's going to heal me.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that as well.
Of course.
I think, I said, I know a little bit about your story, but I know more now, obviously, but there's a lot of strength in that, and kind of facing adversity and then utilizing it to, like you said, to try to build and try to pour it back in, like you said, it's healing for you, but sometimes uplifting others is healing for us. Right.
Yeah.
So I'm also curious because things took off for you, right? Like, things started, and especially in a time like that, I think it was good to see. It was a positive image in that type of year, But what would you say for someone out there who, when they get that spark, when they get that drive and that purpose and they're in their flow, it sounds like you were in a flow, right? Things were just moving. What is some advice to take that and not kind of let it die out, right? To keep it consistent? Because I feel like that's what you did. Like, everybody can have like a hot, ignition, but how do you keep it going?
Yeah, I would take a step back and try to ask yourself, what is your purpose? Is your purpose to help others? Is your purpose to inspire others? Is your purpose to create music for other people to listen? Step back and kind of realize, like, what are you doing this content for? Are you doing it for you, or are you doing it for others? Because at the end of the day, if you're not happy with yourself and the stuff that you release and the stuff that you post, no one else is going to care, Yeah. And I think it's about following your dreams and making goals. Like, I think a lot of people, if you were to ask them, like, can you tell me 3 things about yourself? Like, if you could describe yourself in 3 words and people can't answer that, then they don't know themselves. And I think you got to step back and kind of, look at yourself. What do you want in your life? What is your goal? Some people, I ask people what their dreams are, and they don't have dreams. They don't have goals. But if that's okay. Some people don't. But if you were to make content, do it not just for other people to go viral, to have views, do it for yourself, because it should be like a portfolio of your life. And when you look back, you should feel proud. You should feel like there's growth in the beginning till now.
Yeah. I love that. I love that message. That's real.
I also want to ask you, like, how do you balance like work and life and like, creating content, being a creative? Like, how is that for you?
I still struggle a lot. I should be sleeping more. And so that's why I was telling you I need a team. But for me, it's about planning ahead. And so I tend to kind of create a content calendar. So I take a moment for myself and I think about 10 content ideas I want to do or 10 restaurants I want to hit. And so I'll write that down. And then I will start organizing my calendar. And I always tell people, if it's not on my digital calendar or the calendar I have on my wall, it's not going to happen. And so now instead of I used to do like, I would record the video in the morning, go home, edit, do the voiceover, look at the notes, like everything in the day. Don't do that. Like, I mean, when I was hustling, that was like, I wanted to get it done. But I think it's all about quality over quantity. And so now I would say to organize my time, to set a date for each thing. And so I set a date and schedule when I'm going to shoot the content, go to the restaurant, do the interview. Next day, I will look at my notes, write down my script, and edit the video, chop it all together. Then the third day, I will look at all the things I edited, and then I'll do the voiceover. Then the next day, I will figure out what the caption is, upload the video, put the text, all that stuff, and then finalize, and then I post. And so spreading it out is way better because at the end of the day, if your mental health and work-life balance is trash, your content's going to be trash. People are going to notice it, and people want the best for you. And people who love you and love your content want the best for you. And, I always tell people, like, if I'm not posting content, like, I'm just trying to take care of myself because I want to give you my best work and not just post something just because I'm, like, hitting a number.
Yeah, you feel you have to.
I want to give quality work, and I hope that people know it's always taking a lot of time and effort before I post, but it's about organizing and prioritizing what's most important. And sometimes I schedule in, like, need to sleep in, like, Saturday morning, or
it's important. You got to, I started doing a to-do list earlier this year. Like every Sunday, I'll just, for the week, for the 5 days ahead, I just need a to-do list. And it's like, it'd be little things like that.
It feels good to just check it off. Like,
go
today
to the store,
I worked out
this.
today.
Yeah, that's important. You need to.
Yeah, it could be the littlest thing. And it'll just like, because like, if you keep it all up in here, then it's kind of like, it gets all over the place. You start missing stuff. Then you start getting
and I think a lot of people get scared just to post. Like, I think content creators, even I sometimes are scared about what people think. But if you're making quality content and you watch your video and you're like, this is good, I love this work and I'm proud, then you should post it. And that's kind of like where I'm at right now. Like, I want to be proud of my work. And sometimes I think, we look at social media and we look at the algorithm and the views and the numbers, and it makes us feel like we're less of. I'm starting to realize sometimes the 5 people that might like your shit, not 1,000 or 1,000,000, those 5 people, like, really, really fuck with you. And that's really all that matters.
You know what's crazy? I'm glad you brought that up because I think a big topic around content is metrics, and people are so fixated on metrics. But as you were just mentioning, your platform didn't really hit you until the person from the restaurant called you. So this is all happening in real life. Someone in real life, a real person called you and said, hey, this is how your content affected me in the real world. And I always try to, like, push that out for creators. Like, if you could find a way to connect what you're doing online to the real world in any sort of way and really make real impact, that is what really creates sustainability at the end of the day. So that is a good message for sure. It's not all about the I guess they call it vanity metrics, but try to find a way to connect.
Yeah, and, I'm human. Like, sometimes I'll sit here and be toxic and look at all these accounts and I'm like, wow, they just started. They have so many views and so many followers, and I'm just sitting here not good enough. But that stuff will really kill you. And you have to focus on tunnel vision and your own lane. And then when I have these sad moments and then all of a sudden I go and interview a restaurant and they're telling me their story, I realize I was like, this is why I do what I do.
Exactly.
Like, I'm here to share your story and to help others in my community and use my magic, because I truly feel like I was blessed to have this, like, warmth personality where people feel like they can tell me everything. And this is what I want to live every day like. So if I was to die today, I did everything that I could.
I love it.
Man.
That's real.
Yeah.
That's real. And when you know, right? It's not something like no one can kind of tell you. Like, you just feel it and you act on it. And once you act on it, like, it's up, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, as a viewer, I definitely appreciate that, because like there's a lot of videos just like food, okay, you know, and then it's kind of like
top 10 5 favorite places to eat.
right. So then when you like go into like a deeper story, like me watching the video, I would get a little more curious too. So I'm like, man, damn, okay, I really want to tap in and see what's up with this place, you know. So just want to say I appreciate that, because it's like you can tell you put in time into that, you know.
Yeah,
so.
I feel like a lot of people tend to eat food and they just don't really understand where it comes from, or the cultural like recipe, or the aunts and the like uncles that made it from whatever country. I think it tells so much more of a story when you taste food and you know where it comes from, and you know the hands that make it, the struggles. Like sometimes people plate a dish and it's been plated just like that for centuries, or this recipe has been given to them for years and years, and I think that's what makes it special. But also, you go to restaurants where they're taking such a cultural food and they modernize it into their own way, and that's what makes it so unique. And the people who have the stories, that's like, I feel like it's just way cooler to understand where, you know, how much work it took for them to create the restaurant and have this food out for people to taste.
Yeah, no, that's real. I also feel like a sense of responsibility probably kicks in too. Right.
Yeah.
Like the more like we talk about it all the time. Like when we first started, it was like we're hosting and we're interviewing, and then eventually a responsibility aspect kicks in where people start to seek you out as a platform and an outlet for them to get their stories out. Can you just talk about kind of like why it's important to embrace that and not kind of shy away from it? Because obviously it looks fun and enjoyable to everybody when you're creating content, but there's probably an underlying responsibility that people don't see, right?
Yeah, I think for me, so all the videos for small businesses that I do for free. I do not charge for small businesses. That is out the kindness of my heart. And so for me, because I do it for free, if I don't like it and I don't feel like a connection, or I don't like, you know, the food, I'm not doing it. You know, like everything I do has a purpose. Everything I do is 100% backed up by me, and that I enjoy it. And I think a lot of people tend to think, you know, just because I love the food, I'm not expecting for you to love the food. If you went to the restaurant and you don't like it, you know, that's your opinion.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here trying to show you the story and the food that you may like, but if you don't like it, that's okay too.
Yeah.
But my purpose is to try to be your foodie friend, to kind of be like, hey, here's some food for you to explore. But, you know, I can't help everybody. I can only help as much as I can, and who I feel connected to.
Yeah.
But you know, at the end of the day, you're only human. You can only do so much. But I never want to be someone who does something just for the money, just because it's popular or trendy. I want to do something because my heart feels like it's the right thing to do.
Yeah, and it's aligned.
Yeah.
Alignment's important.
Yeah,
for
and
sure.
having your own mission and values that like you reflect on, and it reflects on who you are as a person.
Yeah, that's real. That's real. I definitely gotta step my game up with the foodie stuff for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I'm lacking.
What do you mean?
I mean, me too.
You're not exploring different foods?
I'm not at all, man. I'll be doing it vicariously through your platform. But now I said 2024, I'm going to try to hit a new spot at least once a month if I can.
Yeah, let's go eat.
Okay.
You can be on my platform, on my YouTube.
Say less.
Oh, yeah.
Y'all heard that?
And you guys can introduce me to food that I haven't tried.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's a foodie right here.
Yeah.
Nahum's a foodie for sure. Yeah. Big time. So Teena, I am curious. I always ask guests this question just because I'm curious. Like for you, like what is your balance? Like what does self-care look like for you? Because a lot of people we have up here, obviously they're like high achieving, high performance, high productive, all that. What does balance look like for you, and how do you go about that?
Yeah, I fell in love with working out. It took a while to fall in love with it, but working out is a time for myself. I don't think about anything. I just turn on music and I work out. I am very into weightlifting now. A lot of people don't know that, but I have a trainer that I see twice a week. And so I never thought I could lift weights, but what was my PR? I PR'd 315 on a deadlift like a couple months ago. And so, you know, it's just fun. I never realized I could do that, but working out has really helped with my mental health. And so if I had a bad day, I just go work out and I don't think about anything. And so that's something that I love to do. I sing a lot of karaoke to myself. Me and my fiance, we bought like a microphone and everything. So I'll just turn on YouTube and just sing to myself.
That's dope.
And just spend time with my loved ones and family and friends. And honestly, I want to eat food without having a camera, to be honest. Like, sometimes I just want to eat and, like, don't have any camera or record or no Instagram story, nothing. I just want to eat, have a good conversation, and just take a break.
That's good. That's
dope.
I like it. I like it. No, I just think it's important to highlight those things, too, because, you know, it can't always be about the grind. You know what I mean?
Sometimes I put my phone in, like, a little, like, cubby, and I just, like, close it, and I just walk out. Just so, like, I think we don't realize how much we are swiping and, like, just looking at our phone about nothing.
Yeah.
And just, we need to take a break and just sit and just be at peace and listen to silence or nothing or just in our thoughts.
That's real talk.
Yeah.
That's real.
Yeah.
I need a little cubby for my phone.
Yeah.
No, dead ass.
You guys should do it. You guys should have a cubby and then have each other's keys.
Oh, wow.
And then lock it away.
Yeah.
And then you guys should fight.
Let's do it. All right, everybody get in the cubby. Everybody get in the cubby. We go exchange keys. Let's go. Teena, man, we you've been dropping so many gems, and this has been great. But I just want to know, when it comes to the future, like, what excites you? You know, a lot of times people say, "What's your 5-year plan?" But it's like, we're not talking about that. Like, what excites you for the future? What are some things that gets you excited when you think about it?
I think what gets me excited is not knowing what's coming next, but knowing that my dreams are continuing and there's always a bigger dream after another dream. And I'm excited to create and kind of showcase that I'm more than just food, that I am a full person that has all these hobbies, but I want to be able to storytell in a long way and showcase that, you know, I always dream of myself hosting, like, cupcake championships on Food Network or have Vice or be on Munchies and do that stuff. Like, I feel like one day I will be a host of a TV show, and that's, like, my full-on dream.
The universe just heard you.
Yeah, there we go.
It's happening.
Yeah,
it's happening.
For real.
I see it. For sure.
Also, Teena, where can people find you or contact you or?
Yeah, at Teena Thach on all platforms, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and my new YouTube that I'm vlogging, and I will be having full-on episodes of my food journey.
Yeah.
Looking forward to that.
Yay.
That's going to be dope. Okay, so final question. We ask every guest this question. So if you can, what's one word to describe what keeps you on the up and up, and why?
Dang, one word?
One word.
Wait, I feel like I need more time.
Take your time.
Just dream. Yeah, don't stop dreaming. Because I think a lot of the times as kids, we lose our imagination. And if you can imagine it and you can think it, it could become real. It could be reality. So dream. That's what I would say.
I love that.
Yep.
Is that the first time we've gotten dream?
Man,
I think it might be the first time we got dream as a one word.
First time, yeah.
Everyone, I'm about to take over this podcast.
Let's go.
New host.
Yeah.
New host. I heard they need some more women in this room because I am the only girl here right now, by the way.
This is your show right now. This is your show. That's what we tell our guests. We say when you come up here, it's your show.
Yeah.
Teena, thank you so much for just sharing your story, your experience, your wisdom. I'm almost certain listeners and viewers, there's no way they can't be connected to this in some way, shape, or form. We wish you much success moving forward.
Always.
With everything you got going. We're excited for you.
Thank you.
Happy for you. Proud of you.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think with that being said, I think it's safe to say Teena Thach is officially a member of the UpNUp. Can we get a round of applause? Hey. Thank you.
Hey.
To continue supporting the podcast and the entire UpNUp movement, be sure to rate, review, like, and subscribe.
As well as follow us at _the UpNUp on all social media platforms to stay connected with everything the UpNUp has coming your way.
Thanks for listening, and until the next one,
keep it on the up and up.